Hello, my friends. My name is Samuel Savy, and this week on the show, Eric Chenoix joins us to preview Canada's first World Cup game against the Belgians. James Pantemis joins good old Unattached FC, and Canada Soccer Hall of Famer Rhian Wilkinson stops by for an interview. All of that and a lot more on episode 110 of The Ball is Round. I'm joined, as usual, by my friends Yves Paul and Adi Raphael, and very special guest, Eric Chenoix. I'll start with you, Eric. How is everything?
Everything's good. A bit stressful ahead of Wednesday, but I'm glad to be with you guys once again.
Well, we're glad you're here, Eric. Yves, Hadi, you're good, guys?
I'm glad to hear Eric stressed.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, all is fine. It's just weird not to have club football in November, but you know what? Preparing for World Cup, watched the first game today. It was kind of okay. What was expected? It was exactly what was expected. Yeah. But you know what? I think it's going to be an exciting World Cup. It looks like an exciting World Cup. So let's hope that it's the case for Canada.
Yeah, for sure, man. Just before we jump into all of that, we'll just want to say a quick word on our Patreons because we started a Patreon page, guys. And as we said, so for those who missed it, no, you don't need to pay. You'll never need to pay to get to see our work. It's if you want to contribute, you guys, we talked about it a lot. Just contribution, anyone who wants to jump in and give something just to help grow the project, you always be welcome. And we want to say a big thank you to those who have joined. Also, we'll be drawing at the end of the show the gift from our friends at Montreal Metros FC. They gave away a jersey for anyone who wanted to enter the draw. So it's going to be announced in roughly 90 minutes. And in about an hour, we'll have the interview with Rhian Wilkinson. So that's about it. But before we get into the World Cup and all of that, Montreal, because on Tuesday, Montreal finally released their list concerning the options of players who were waiting to know if they would be activated or declined. Just quickly going on to the players activated: Ketterer, Waterman, Jean-Aniel Assi, Kone, Quizera, Rea, Saliba, Zouir, Camara, and Kyoto. Options declined: Breza, Pantemis, Bassong, Ferdinand, Yao, Giraldo, and Bjorn Johnsen. We'll talk about Pantemis and Yao just in a few minutes, guys. But so I just want to hear you on, was there any surprises? Of course, we'll start with you, Eric, on any players apart from these two, whether they were declined or activated.
No, not really. I think it's obvious that Renard has a plan, and when you see a guy like Jean-Aniel Assi being his option being picked up, it's clear that there's something in the books for him. So obviously, all the others, that was the end for them, and it's clear that there's a clear plan behind all that, and I can't wait to see where it's going. Starting with the camp next year, see how the youngsters are going to fit in. So I think it's interesting.
Yves.
Mm-hmm. No, really not surprised. I guess obviously a little bit surprised to see that Logan Ketterer stuck around, because I'm not even sure if he made the bench in a match for the first team. But obviously, he's, I think, a third keeper any day of the week. And if he's content to stick around and play that role, then all well and good to keep him. But like Eric said, so many young players having their options triggered is showing that there's probably a longer game going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one thing that really surprises me. Nathan Saliba option being picked up, and Kishan Ferdinand not being picked up. It's two players that have been, like, Kishan was loaned to Ottawa last year, so I thought it was a kind of a good prospect for the future, and now not being picked up. Something must have happened behind the scenes.
Well, but he wasn't loaned this past season, so he didn't play.
He played last year. He played with Ottawa, right?
PLSQ.
2021.
2021
that's
was
what I
another
said.
one.
Yeah,
last
no,
year,
but I'm
last
saying,
year.
and I'm saying this year though he wasn't loaned, and
He
so
wasn't.
basically
Yes,
didn't
he
play.
wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't this year. So, like I said, something must have happened. Just trying to put all the dots in place here. At the beginning of the season, Olivier Renard said that some youngsters didn't want to be loaned. Is it Keyshawn Ferdinand? So that might be the reason why. Now there's the second thing is Nathan Saliba. He signed a professional contract I think a couple of years ago. We've never seen him even on the bench with CF Montreal. So it surprises me because I would have thought that at least he would have made an appearance on the bench, not being used or anything. But you know what? Life is full of surprises. So let's hope and see. I hope that we'll see Nathan Saliba next year with the CF Montreal shirt.
Well, what was surprising is that Carey Fayao and James Pantemis were not picked up. And I think we would start with Carey. 2 stellar season in CPL. He was considered like one of the CPL's very solid young defenders. So why would Montreal let him walk for free? And also they must have known that someone would pick it up. And as it was, Vancouver did go on for Carey Fayao. So I'll hear you, Eric, on what do you think was the decision in there?
I think it's a matter of style of play, maybe. Maybe Renard doesn't think he fits in with the project they have here. He's seen him for 2 years in the CPL, and he's decided that maybe it was better for him to go. It's part of the game, So as long as there's no hard feelings there, it's all good. I think it's cool also not to sign him in order to eventually sell him and have him wait here.
Yeah. Kind of waste away on the bench.
So it's a good thing for the player to just be released like this, and you see he already has a new chapter in his career. So that's great.
Yeah, what bothers me is that it seems like, Carey Fayao, he said to Olivier Renard that he didn't want him to be the 5th or the 6th central defender in the squad. So that means that Torkelson goes ahead of him in the hierarchy as per Olivier Renard. And that's, I think, is going to be what's the way we're going to compare him, right? So in my opinion, and that's how I am going to compare. I'm going to compare the performances of Carey Fayao versus the performances of Robert Torkelson, because for me, that's exactly the choice that Olivier Renard made. He chose Torkelson ahead of Yao. He chose Finnish international ahead of a youth prospect from Montreal, the homegrown prospect. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully he got it right. I don't know. I'm skeptical about that, but again, we'll see.
Well, Yves, I know you talked to Michael McCullough of FTN very recently, and they do have a huge problem in defense in Vancouver. Do you see Carey Fayao working right away for a spot in their central defense?
So when I was talking to Michael, he was not optimistic that, Carey Fayao is going to slot in as an automatic starter by any stretch. He does still think Carey Fayao is going to be more of a depth player or a rotational player at best for the Whitecaps. But that being said, I do think Carey Fayao stands a way better chance starting for the Whitecaps than for CF Montreal as of right now. They definitely do have a desperate issue in central defense. They're in dire need. And overall, I thought Carey Fayao did have 2 good seasons. He had a really, really good season in 2021, maybe a little bit less consistent in 2022 for Cavalry. But obviously, Vancouver, I think, can definitely benefit from his presence more than Montreal can at this point. So for me, this move it's really a good move for the club in that they're not kind of saddled or obligated to kind of squeeze him in. And it's good for the player because I think that's when he's going to get his best opportunity to play minutes at the highest level possible for him.
Yeah, most definitely. Now Pantemis. Okay, so our number one goalkeeper is free to sign with whomever he feels like. Eric, you didn't come this year to our postmortem, but you came last year. I remember we had a very good debate on. You were adamant that Pantemis was a future goalie for the club, and that maybe the problems came a lot from mishandling from the club. In his on his part. What do you see now in the stance of the club towards their keeper now that they've not activated his option? Do you think that he does still have a certain future in Montreal, or it's done?
Oh, that's a tough question, obviously. As I said before, Renard seems to have a plan with pretty much each player on the roster. But when it comes to Pantemis, the explanations were given, they're not clear.
No.
They're just not clear.
Not at all.
So what's going on here? There's something weird going on. If I recall what he said something along the lines of, we want him to be here for long term. We don't want him to be here over, like, his option is only 1 year. So at the end of the year, we have no backup if he decides to leave. And then, so you don't pick up the option, you can leave now. So you're kind of taking the problem and making it real now. It doesn't make sense to me, And then I started thinking about it, and obviously the answer is clear to me now, is that if Wilfried Nancy comes back, Pantemis goes. And if Wilfried Nancy
It's what I said.
Back, there you go.
Thank you, Eric Chenoix.
It's as simple as that. It's when you think about it, it's the only thing. That's why Renard is so weird about the whole thing. He's always super clear about everything. His explanations about were like clear as day.
Yeah.
And when it came to Pantemis, it was like all over the place. So obviously he's not controlling the situation 100%. So that's the only possibility I see for now. But so we'll see. Depends on the coach, I guess.
How do you see another explanation?
No, that's exactly, I think, what I thought. For me, it's clear as day. It all depends on Nancy, and that's exactly what's going on now. I also think that Olivier Renard wants to maybe sign him for a bit cheaper. I think he was doing 160,000, if I'm not mistaken, Pantemis. So maybe he's trying to get him for cheap, but it's going to be tough. The guy is going to the World Cup, so I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. And that's the third option. And you know that I'll be a big fan of that third option. Are we keeping Logan Ketterer as a second goalie and giving the net to Jonathan Sirois? I don't know. It's
no.
bold.
Obviously, he said Sirois would be number 2.
Yeah, he kind of said it. Yeah,
Sure.
guaranteed number 2.
3. And then he said something along the lines of, I don't want to sign Pantemis or pick up his option and have him being number 3 next year. So there you go back to the coach again. See?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah. Very logical.
So guys, I just want one word: yes or no. Will Pantemis be in goal for Montreal next year, or will he go on the market? In goal, yes or no?
I would say no.
No.
I'm gonna say no as well.
Eric.
I've been super pessimistic the whole time on this.
So you think Nancy is coming back then, Yves?
I don't think like definitely I think if Wilfried Nancy, as I said weeks ago, if Wilfried Nancy stays, I think James Pantemis goes, but I don't know if the situation with a new coach would even be reparable.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting.
I have no answer. It's too early.
Good.
Come back to me in a month or 2.
Deal.
Okay, we will. And
Yeah, I was gonna
Harry
say,
Nicolaidis on Twitter says, "Little Bird tells me Pantemis is renegotiating." So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
We'll see.
Interesting. Hey, the Greek connections, man.
Yeah,
Greek connections, right?
Got a little question from Stefan Buckridge, our friend from Cincinnati, before we go to the Canadian men national team. Well, he has two questions, so we'll answer his second question first.
Yeah. Hey,
because it's on
Steven.
Montreal. And he says, thoughts on Zoran Bassong being a re-entry target, strengths / weaknesses as a wingback, Shuttler type.
Okay, do you want to leave?
Yeah, I don't know.
I suggest that we leave it to Eric because it's gonna be funny, I think.
No. You go first.
Addy, Eric went first since the start, man. Don't do this to him. I can go first on Bassong if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, I honestly, I think if you want strengths, well, I'll give you that he's able as a wingback very deep in opposition area to maybe beat a man ball at his feet. He's done it a few times. He's not a bad crosser of the ball. He's an okay crosser of the ball. But anything that requires defensive awareness and anything lower on the pitch than deep inside opposition area is not MLS standard for me. So I would say Bassong is not even close to being a player that you guys should target in re-entry.
Yeah, not at all. No, 0 in positioning too. So yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Sorry about that. Nothing against him.
No. I feel kind of bad.
Yeah, that's I just try to keep it real, but Stephanie says something. So
no, exactly, and I'd rather give an honest answer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I were an MLS team personally, I wouldn't target him.
No. Sorry, we saved you. Anything to add?
Well, I've seen him play with the reserve team in PLSQ, and it's just he wasn't good enough even there. So,
oh wow!
There you go.
I told you it's going to find that funny. So,
oh, good. So I think that's it for Montreal. Yeah, I kind of went through it. So okay.
Do you want to answer his second question or later?
I think we're gonna do that later.
Okay,
yeah, I'll put it a bit later. Yeah.
Good.
So, Eric, obviously the reason why we brought you here is because of your Belgian Canadian.
What a surprise!
But also, we really like you. To be fair.
Thank you.
Nah.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday, I guess.
So,
you like me.
Well, first of all, Eric, I guess you're supporting Belgium, right? In that match.
Oh, you guessed right. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. So, Eric, just describe us what's up with Belgium since qualifying, because I've read through media in Europe that it's a bit concerning what's going on with Belgium.
We do not have enough time to talk about all what's going on, but it's just well, to sum it up, in the past, since 2014, there hasn't been a better time to face Belgium than right now.
Oh yeah.
So that's good for Canada, I guess. They've been slowing down consistently since 2018, basically. So in the Euros, Nations League it wasn't an easy group, but they weren't really great either. So players are slowing down. Of course, they're getting older. They're pretty much like all the big players are over 30 now. So it's their last time, and that's it shows. It's pretty much like the golden generation of Portugal a few years back. But that's a motivation as well. So, because it's their last time together, maybe they're going to, do something great. We hope. But, nobody in Belgium right now is really confident about what's going on. So, and as you've seen the last game right before the World Cup on Friday against Egypt, it wasn't great. When you have players like Witsel who goes on saying, well, we didn't we didn't play like the coach wanted us to play, then you start asking questions, and it's not the first time they do that. So they've done that in 2014 as well during the World Cup. They've done that several times during under Martinez as well. So right before a World Cup, that's not a good sign usually. But then again, it's Belgium. Let's go back to the Nations League. First game, heavy loss against the Netherlands at home, 4-1. The next game, they play at home against Poland. You expect things to go maybe from bad to worse, because of the heavy loss they had. They beat Poland 6-1. So, that's Belgium for you. When you think they're going down, they're still there. So you never know what can happen. They're a tough bunch. I mean, when they start playing together and things, the pieces fall in the right places. They're super strong, tough team. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, of course. Fantastic player.
I live in fear of that man.
Yeah, he's just,
and awe, fear and awe.
Yeah, he's there's no words to describe his play.
Ridiculous.
He is on another planet.
I still can't believe that Jose Mourinho thought he wasn't good enough to stay at Chelsea. I can't.
But there's a list. They had let's not go through the list.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. But De Bruyne, it's like, for me, it's like the biggest mistake of his life in my opinion. But crazy.
He's a great player. He's a fantastic player, but there's a big chunk missing, and now it's been confirmed. Lukaku is not going to be there. And when Lukaku is on the field, it's a completely different team that you face. He's a huge target man for them. He gets the ball, keeps the ball. Everybody can go up, and then combination play around the box is so much better when he's there.
So who replaces him, Eric?
It's I was getting there. Michy Batshuayi is going to replace him. You know him. I know him too. I mean, he's a fantastic forward, but
he's able to play in a similar style. Like he
tries. He doesn't have the hold-up ability of Lukaku.
No, he doesn't have his size. I mean, he's not the same type of player.
No,
Lukaku is a power forward. He's gonna go against the defense and protect the ball and play back more than he's going to play forward. And Batshuayi is the contrary. He's going to drop a little and play forward, or really play as a pure attacker. In the box. That said, he scores goals with Belgium, tons of them. Much more than he scores in club,
25 and 47, 25 goals in 47 caps.
26 and 48. You're wrong, my friend.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, so it's not updated then.
Updated numbers. I got them here, so that's like a 54% rate. 54% of the games he scores.
That's amazing.
So, but Lukaku is like 68 over 102 games, so that's like 66%.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, and he's not there, and he's probably not going to be there before, we hope, Croatia.
Yeah.
So and even then, I doubt it. I mean, he hasn't played in a long time. I mean, he came back with Inter and he injured his thigh again, and it's I wouldn't count on him for this tournament, sadly. But I mean, Batshuayi can do the job, and behind him you have Openda as well, which he's not bad. He scored against Egypt. He brings something interesting too, a bit more of a power forward than Batshuayi is. So it's a bit of a different profile. So that's cool, because
he's doing good in Lens. He's doing very good. I watched a couple of games, and I was surprised. I didn't know him that well because last year he was nowhere to be seen, in my opinion. So this year he's been pretty good, very dangerous.
So that's positive. But then on the other side of things, you have Eden Hazard, who hasn't been playing at Real Madrid. Who's that's it. Hazard is not really a strong. See, Chinese asking if Hazard is going to start in the 11. Nobody knows. It's probable. He's the captain, so he should be there, I guess. But Hazard with the national team hasn't been the Hazard you've seen with Chelsea. It's not the same type of player. He brings a lot on the left flank, but he's not the leader of the team on a footballing point of view. To me, it's always been Kevin De Bruyne who's been pulling the strings there. So I think Belgium can do without him. Honestly, the last game against Egypt, I think Doku brought more in like 10-15 minutes than Hazard did in 70. So
wow,
that's a decision that the coach is going to have to take. So I would be okay with Hazard being on the bench and coming in with for 20 or 30 minutes. So that's Belgium for you. We have tools to play with. We have people on the bench. We have a lot of depth at every position, except defense. That's the big problem of that team. It's always been, and now the guys who were so before are even older now and slower. And you've seen it against Egypt. The second goal was just a textbook for Canada. This is what you need to do to score goals against Belgium, because if you launch David or Davies, if he plays against Courtois, it's pretty sure that nobody's going to catch them. So that's the big problem of Belgium. It's always been there. The problem with this team has always been the defense, and it's even worse now. So we don't have really youngsters to come in and replace the old guys. So when you have like an 18-year-old playing at the World Cup, it says a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you a question. We have players from each one of the sides playing at the same club, with DJ Buchanan and Kyle Larin playing at the same club as Mignolet and Vanaken. Do you think that's better because Vanaken and Mignolet are mostly on the bench? Do you think it's better for Belgium to have insights on two starters like Buchanan and Larin, or do you think it's not really going to play its part?
Well, it can help. It can hurt. That's for sure. But you were saying Vanaken is going to be on the bench. Blah blah blah. Maybe. I'm not sure. He
might be in the 11.
He could be in the 11 against Canada. Wow. I could see him because you don't really know the guy, and he could actually.
No, I don't know him.
Yeah, exactly. He could actually hurt you bad. So he's pretty good when he plays with Belgium. He's a hard worker and with a threat around the box. So it could be a good option instead of Tielemans, who's a little bit all over the place when it comes to defending. So when you have problems defending, maybe you want someone who's a little bit or a little less hot-headed, I'd say, because Tielemans. He stops thinking sometimes on the pitch, and you wonder what he's doing. So he could be the guy on the bench instead of Vanaken. So But to come back to your question, of course we know Buchanan. Of course we know Larin, even though Larin doesn't play a lot. But we know everybody. I think it's the homework has been done. That's for sure. And Canada is not a huge mystery. When you see them play, you understand quickly who's to watch and who's the threat, and how they're playing. So, I think even though I'm a bit nervous about Wednesday because of the current form of the team, I think when you look at it closely, Belgium is still a very, very strong team with a lot of depth. So we should be able to manage Canada, I think.
Yeah.
So let's say in a more of a practical way, Belgium, how do they like to set up tactically? What do you see them do against Canada?
Well, the same thing they've been doing for like the past 8 years, more or less. So 3-5-2, more or less. 3 guys at the back, probably Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and De Bast, the new guy, 18-year-old from Anderlecht. Then 2 wing backs. Then you probably have Witzel and I see Van Aken against Canada in the middle. And then you have, of course, De Bruyne. Probably I'll go with Hazard on the left and Carrasco as well. And on the other side, you're going to have, of course, Batshuayi in the front. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
It sounds like a strong team. I know they've gotten slower in defense. So it's still Canada. What I see is Canada would have interest maybe in investing in defending low and trying that counter attack. But I doubt John Herdman is gonna go there because he has that mentality of bringing it to other teams, and he's always wanted to play that way.
Bring it. That's
what's dangerous. I think
that's the best way for us to play Canada. I mean, if you sit back and go with the counter, that's the best way to beat Belgium. So it's been proven many times. And if you don't do that, oh my God, I don't want to even go there. Don't keep your hopes because we're still very, very fast in the counter attack and very efficient. So, it's. But if you try to play football with Belgium, sure, welcome. Go ahead.
Well, that's what worries me, guys. Eve, do you feel that same way?
I mean, I appreciate John Herdman. This is Canada's style. We want to play, our football. But at the same time, you have to have, I think, respect for your opponents. And, even though recently Belgium's form might not have been fantastic, they made the semifinals of the World Cup in 2018. Yeah. They are regular. They're regularly in those later stages of big tournaments. So for me, you have to show respect and you have to acknowledge that Belgium's 11 is way stronger, if you look at it on paper or if you look at it practically than Canada's. And you have to take a more conservative approach than you do in say, CONCACAF play.
Yeah, I listened to a few pressers of John Herdman, and I don't think he's going to play. Like I'm pretty sure he's going to play defensively. The way he talked about the opposition players, I really don't think that he's going to play like his game, like trying to control the ball and playing possession game. I doubt it very much. Even against Japan, he wasn't playing possession game, even if at times, Japan didn't want the ball, so they were forced to play possession game. But Belgium, if you give them the ball, they're going to try to, they're going to play with the ball. They're not going to give the possession back. No. So, right?
We'll take the ball.
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly. So, I really don't think that Herdman will play a possession game. So, no, I'm pretty sure that John Herdman will adapt. We've seen it. Against Mexico and against the US, we weren't playing mostly in counterattack. So I don't see why we wouldn't play the same way against Belgium, one of the best teams in the world and one of the favorites for the World Cup. So yeah.
Yeah, no, completely agree.
Guys, do we do our Canada will win if Canada will lose if, or do we do that? Yes or no?
I don't have it. I don't have a Canada will win. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
I do.
Okay, Eric, you'll do Belgium then. How do you start, man?
Canada will win if Kamal Miller gets back to being Kamal Miller because he hasn't been himself lately. No. And against Japan, he was horrible. And Canada will lose if if everything is right with the world, because they're gonna lose. So
Yeah.
they will lose. Like I'd be very surprised if they don't. So
Okay, I will try. I'm gonna stick with my running theory from last week. Canada will win if the entire Belgian team gets food poisoning. That's the only scenario I see it being possible. I'm gonna be honest. I just don't see a way out short of bribery. So I'm hoping that won't be the case. Therefore, I'm sorry, Eric. I'm wishing a bad time in the bathroom on the Belgian players. But Canada will lose if they try to play any iota of possession-based football. They will get burned on the transition. Victoria and Miller do not have the speed to keep up with, nor do they have the agility, I think, to keep up with the fancy footwork. You give Belgium a set piece, and we know I watch EPL week in, week out, Kevin De Bruyne will bury that free kick, no problem. So for me, if Canada tries to play one iota of possession football, they're done.
Eric, Belgium will win if and lose if.
Well, there's no if.
Yeah, there you go.
Play the game, man.
What?
Just
No,
play the game.
Okay, I'll play.
Come on,
I'll
I
play
use food poisoning.
I'll play the Canada game.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Canada will win. Well, they won't win. They will tie if
Okay, there we go. I'll take a tie.
if it's 0-0 at the half, and Belgium starts panicking in the second half, seeing they're not scoring a goal.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like throw the kitchen sink at Canada.
If after 60 minutes, say it's like they have chances, but they don't bury it, they might start panicking and making stupid mistakes. They're known for stupid mistakes, and they're known for the sloppy defense. So this is the only way it could happen. But let's see the first 15 minutes, and then we'll see what happens.
I'll go with Canada wins if I think if by any matter a Belgian player gets sent off for just a 50-50 challenge, studs go up, and then David have a lot more space to run, and Belgium keep playing that possession game, we might get something out of it. And
Eric's like, nope, you can live with 10.
We can win with 10, that's for sure, but we don't get cards either, so I don't mind. It's not really
my only hope.
But you never know, stupid thing happening. You never know, it could happen, but it's not a rough team, and usually they take the ball and they keep the ball, so they don't have to make fouls. So you see. But if Canada is planning to park the bus, well, it's going to be tough, because I don't see either Johnston or Miller having the level it requires to stand the waves and waves and waves of attacks. It's going to come fast at some point, and it's you have to. I mean, I know this team so well, and to come back about the tactical side of things that we were talking about earlier. I think the best way to describe it is, well, they pretty much play like CF Montreal, actually. Wow. So that's pretty much the same idea, that the same concepts, the same formation, more or less. So that's what you need to expect. What you've seen all year with CF Montreal, that's what you're going to see from Belgium, and but with crappy defenders. So yeah, you see, but much more talent up front, but sloppy defending. So that's it. So if Canada stands back there and hopes to clear every ball and to win every challenge, it's not gonna happen. So now, if they play ball, they're gonna suffer. If they don't play ball, they're gonna suffer.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a tough one for Canada. But before we started, I said I didn't like Belgium right now, and I was stressed about it. Now I feel much better.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm much more confident now that we talk about Canada.
But Eric, Chan asked us a question, but I'll just throw it to you. But on your perspective. So Chan asks us Kone Eustáquio Atiba for starting for Canada in the opening game. I want to ask you, Eric, which, let's say, midfield trio would be the most effective against Belgium to either stop them or catch them on the break?
That's a good question. I think Eustáquio is the kind of guy who could hurt them, that's for sure, so he needs to be there. His long balls could be deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the speed of Kone is something too. I think Atiba, lots and lots of experience, but he's slowed down, and we've seen it against Egypt. It was hard for him in that game, especially in the first goal there. So I don't see who would be the best trio. Actually, I'd have Hutch in there because he's seen things, he's got the experience, and he can motivate people. But I think Kone is a bit young still.
I think if Jonathan Osorio is able to start and go at least 60 minutes, I think Jonathan Osorio would be more likely to get the start.
That's interesting.
That's that makes sense, because no, he's a hard worker. That's what you need. That's what you need against Belgium. You need a guy who's going to run like the whole game, and you have to play cleanly though, because if you start making fouls against Belgium, you're going to pay. So, well, whatever you do against Belgium, you're going to pay, and that's basically what we're saying. Like, they're a fantastic team, and it's just a shame that they didn't win in 2018, because it really was their moment. But let's hope for the best this time around. And the only problem for Canada is the timing of this game. Belgium wants to start on a good note, and they're not gonna lose time with Canada. They're gonna go all out against Canada and hit and send waves of attacks, and it's gonna be beautiful.
A very confident Eric Chenoix here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sorry, at first he was like, I'm stressed, and
Yeah,
now he's like, we're gonna kill you guys, we're gonna crush you.
So
don't get me wrong, it's the team I didn't want in my group, and I have it. So I still fear the counterattacks, the speed. They're so efficient when they go like this. So. And Davies, he runs like monsters. So, it's it's going to be stressful. I'm not like super confident. I'm confident because, and have you seen the team? I mean, they're number 2 in the world. I think there's a reason for that.
For some reason,
But there's still, that little. Canada. I don't like Canada. I don't like it. I mean, I like
that's
it.
the thing. It's one match. Yeah.
I'm sad because I wanted Canada to be in another group. I would have had like 2 teams to support. Now I only have 1, and I'm gonna have to root against Canada against Belgium, and then I'm gonna have to wish for results that are good for Belgium, even if that means Canada needs to lose. So I'm stuck.
Wow. I'm sorry.
I mean, go Canada, but only after
Wednesday.
After Wednesday.
Guys, anything?
Just like a half and half kit.
Yeah, maybe not, but
no, those are ugly. I really hate them.
Guys, do you guys have anything to ask Eric? Anything to add?
No.
No, I think he answered everything regarding Belgium.
Yeah.
We all know those players, and it's going to be tough. A tough game. Game ahead.
He's passed the stress on to me, so there we go.
That's why I'm here. I have a question for you, though. For you. How confident are you in Canada defending against Belgium?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Zero.
Well, the fact that Lukaku is out is kind of a blessing.
Yeah.
But Batshuayi is very dangerous too.
Yeah,
so.
still.
He's dangerous, but
and he's still fast.
He's fast.
Despite his age.
Belgium has a lot more trouble playing when he's there. It's much easier. It flows more with Lukaku. So they have to find a way to play with him, and it could help you. It could help Canada, that's for sure.
For me, I just didn't like what I saw about Canada versus Bahrain. I didn't like what I saw defensively on the goal that Japan scored.
Yeah.
So I'm just not convinced that Canada's defense is going into this in prime form. Despite the friendlies.
Yeah, but can they be better than that? That's the question. Is that?
No, I think they can be better, but will they be better? I am not convinced.
It's really tough defensively for Canada. Unfortunately, it's really, really tough. So there's no way. I don't see at all Canada getting even a point from this game. Now, for the rest, for the remain, for me, the only objective for Canada is to get, first of all, a goal, and second of all, a point. If you do that, if you get a goal and a point, for me, it's a successful campaign. That's all we need for 2022, and let's prepare for 2026 to get even more, more objectives, better objectives. Maybe go through the group stage in 2026. That will be another objective. But 2022, just start with a goal, and then if you get a point, it's even better, and that's it. So I don't think, again, Belgium for me, it's a loss. 99% of the time, it's a loss. So
no, but I want to answer a bit more technically to Eric's question, because let's say Canada decide to go with a back five or back three, whatever, but they play with wing backs. Richie Lair, I think, is completely out of form. So at right wing back, I think we can even expect maybe Buchanan. So he's not a natural defender. He's gonna put a shift. Buchanan is known for that, but when he's going to be pinned deep defending in his area, it's going to be a bit more difficult. Then behind him, you have Alistair Johnston, who's a good defender, but, he played the whole season at right wing back. So now you're going to ask him to play against Belgium at right center back, a position he hasn't touched recently. Vitoria is okay, but sometimes he can do so well, and sometimes he can be atrocious too. So I think, and then you have Miller, who's kind of out of form. Mm-hmm. Behind that, Ikugbe, who's a solid defender. So
that's
basically Sam Adekugbe is the only person we trust.
You have a question here from Patrick. Sam, you were
Patrick ask, do you think Davies might play left back or left wing back against Belgium to help solidify the defensive bit? Well, I don't think. Well, I wouldn't put him there because you need his space on the break. So if he's pinned deep defending next to the corner flag, you're losing what's his biggest strength. I think. I don't know for you guys, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would be. I know he said he's ready to start. I would still be surprised if he did start, just because I think even John Herdman, I'm sure he must know deep within his heart that realistically, let's face it. So I would be surprised to see Davies start, period. And I'm sure he would be heartbroken if he didn't start. And, I think any player would say, I'm 100% ready to start this game, whether they were 50% fitness or 25% fitness or 75. But that being said, if Davies were to play in this match, I would expect, like Sam said, for him to play a more attacking role so that Canada can benefit from his ability on the counter.
I think Davies needs to start.
I would love for him to start. Believe me.
Yeah, but he has to. Is your best asset against Belgium. He has
100%.
everything you need to beat Belgium.
Yeah.
So he has the speed. He has the talent. This is exactly the type of player you need on the field. And you can put him as a left wing back, and he still has the speed to beat the defense.
Yeah.
But
because they're so slow. He could beat them starting from the back.
So. They don't spring chickens. But
realistically, Canada could be out after 2 games.
Yeah, I agree.
It'd be over. So why rest the guy?
Yeah, you're
now?
right. That's a fact.
Because
it's Croatia.
For me, it's
right
why
after,
risk him? Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's not ready, and then he aggravates his injury versus Belgium, and then he can play either versus Croatia or versus Morocco. Like, for me, Croatia or Morocco are the 2 games where Canada stands the more whisper of a chance. And I know, I'm pragmatic and pessimistic and horrible.
You need points right after that, because you could be you could have Belgium and Croatia with 6 points after 2 games. It's Morocco and Canada are gone. So you need to have everybody on the field who's fit and ready to go. Now it's the World Cup. It's not the MLS playoffs here. It's fucking World Cup. It's 3 games. You could be out after 2. So
I know. I just worry.
Yeah, you really need to take the gamble and say let's put him there and.
Exactly. If you don't take a gamble in the World Cup, when will you take a gamble?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Exactly. It just sucks so much that this World Cup is happening mid-season. Like, you know what I mean? If you get injured in the World Cup normally, then you have the remainder of the summer to recuperate. Sure. But for this time around, obviously, if you aggravate an injury, as we're kind of discussing with Davies, then he might ruin a larger part of his season with Bayern. Which really, and I understand like that's not our concern, but.
It's only Bayern. I mean,
exactly.
It's only Bayern Munich.
They always win, exactly.
They find a way.
Fair enough.
Now Davies, I'd put him in. If he says he's good to go, please go and give it your all, man. He'll tell. I think he should tell Herdman what he's feeling enough.
Exactly.
Not the opposite.
He said it today. I'm ready. So for me, he's starting. Whatever you do, he's starting for sure.
If Herdman wants to have him on the bench, please, by any means, no problem. I mean, I'm totally happy with that.
Well, Patrick brings a point, Eric. Maybe you can help us on that. Patrick says, I heard on another pod from a Belgian perspective that they struggle in emotional games. It will be a very emotional game for Canada, but will it be for Belgium? Probably not as much. So do you think that could have an impact?
No, we're Belgian. We don't have emotions. So no, but I mean,
distress.
It's going to be, the emotions are going to be good for Canada, I think, and knowing Herdman is a good motivator, that could help Canada much more than Belgium. I think Belgium is going in with, they're probably very relaxed right now, probably just focusing on what they have to do, knowing that Canada is the first game, and it's probably seen as a good game to start things with, like just get it done and get on to the next challenge. I don't think they see it. They see Canada as a threat, of course, because Canada can hit. Can hit on the counter, of course, but I don't think they're that stressed about it. It's still Belgium against Canada. There's a huge gap between the two teams. So as you said, I mean the defense is not that solid, so they should normally be able to go through fairly easily. So I don't think there's tons of emotions for Belgium right now. The emotions they might feel is that, it's their last time together. Obviously, guys like Mertens or Hazard, even De Bruyne, stopped their international careers after that. So, it's like one last time. So I think the first game is going to be, I think they're going to be motivated more than anything else. It's going to be, yes, a bit emotional maybe, but I think the emotions are going to come later in the tournament, where we're going to get eliminated in the second round. So that's what's going to happen. But but the first game should be.
I have a question I just thought about, Eric. Arthur Théâtre, is it possible that he starts or not at all?
It's possible because Vertonghen hasn't been 100%. He was quite good against.
He's pretty
Salah.
good. Mm-hmm.
Against Salah in the Egypt game. I thought he did pretty good to stop him many times. So I think he won points there. He's fairly new in the team. Yeah. Again, Canada could be a good opportunity for him.
Interesting. He's been doing well at Rennes. So he's been doing well. So.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and young too. So. With a bit more speed than the others, so
just a little bit more.
A little bit, exactly.
But again, I mean, in the past, when he started with the team, he had some games where it was so, like he made mistakes and like any youngsters would do. But I think that the Egypt game he was really strong. He was solid, so he could be a starter. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, guys. So I think we kind of went through everything, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. We have I think our little game, our little prediction game left, right?
Well, yeah, of course, because I wanted to ask all of you. Eric, you decide when you go. Okay, we'll give you time to think about it if you're not.
I'm
ready.
going. See ya. No.
Just one.
I don't like predictions.
Man.
Welcome to my personal hell.
Hadi loves them, by the way. So
I
I
love
like them
them.
too. I like them too, though. Winner of the World Cup and Golden Boot winner as well. I can start if you guys are not.
Yeah,
ready.
go ahead.
You guys are gonna laugh at me, but I think the winner is gonna be Brazil. That's not. I think a player who's got a good chance for Golden Boot is Richarlison.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Finally found. I think he's finally playing at the height of his talent after a few different clubs in England. I know he played for your club, Eric, with mixed results. I think, but Tottenham now, I think he's doing very well, and there's gonna be a lot of focus on Neymar and and co around him. So maybe Richarlison could be the one who's been springing a bit more space on the field and who's gonna be the finisher in this World Cup. So that would be my my Golden Boot prediction. Who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I also pegged Brazil to win it. Actually had that conversation. I know Hattie's like super thrilled. I actually had that conversation with Mike McCall last week. I think just Brazil has probably the most complete squad it's had in the last couple of cycles. So I feel like their time is coming back around. I think they have talent from back to front. And although they do have a few aging players in there, I think those aging players are still going to bring a lot of benefit to the squad. For Golden Boot, I'm not gonna lie, I'm mainly basing the Golden Boot on the group stages and kind of how the different groups are composed, and I'm not really like thinking of anything after that fact. And in looking at that, I'm gonna say Lionel Messi for Golden Boot.
Wow. Okay, Brazil, of course, same thing for me. Whenever there's no Canada, I'm a Brazil fan. Always have been since the 90s. So even after the tough loss in 2014, I'm still a fan because I don't shy away from a big defeat. Unfortunately. For the Golden Boot, I think it's going to be very, very tough to find, to get the answer right. There's so many options, but I was exactly thinking like Yves. I think Lionel Messi it's his last World Cup. I think the two favorites of the World Cup are Brazil and Argentina right now, with Belgium and Portugal being like the outsiders for in my opinion. So yeah, I think Messi will win the Golden Boot.
Great minds.
Exactly. Eric?
I'll go with Germany. I see everybody else falling apart. And, all the Germans are always consistent.
Oh.
We're just going to go through and just go to the final again and win it. Golden Boot. Whoa, that's a tough one. I'll go with Enel Valencia because he has a head start.
He's off to. I was going to say,
well,
off to a good start. He should have had 3. Alas.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, guys. So I'll write it down. We'll revisit this for sure.
Eric is Gary Lineker, right? Saying, football is played 11 against 11 and Germany wins, right? So.
Yeah, Gary was one of my favorite players when I was a kid. So yeah, I like him.
Good. Yes, we're pretty much done for the segment on the men's national team. Eric, you were leaving right now, eh?
Yep, I'm gone. Yeah. So my last word will be, may the best team win. And and the best
Well-
team is Belgium. So
Eric, thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot,
much
man.
for
All right.
for dropping in, man. It was really, really interesting.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
see you guys.
Okay, take
Thank
care.
you.
man.
Bye, Eric.
Good, very good. That was interesting with Eric. Well, as it is
Always
always with our
interesting.
guests, man.
Mhm.
We'll jump into the women national team segment. We'll go on to the defeat against Brazil at the start of the week very, very quickly because we have a 35-minute interview with Rhian Wilkinson, which was awesome. Guy, I didn't see it. You guys did it without me, so I can't wait to listen to it. But Eve, you watched the game, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So just tell us what we missed because I didn't see it. Well, what happened against Brazil?
I mean, okay, first, like the first thing that sticks out in my mind is so unfortunate. Nichelle Prince did her ACL at that match, and of course, we already have Dion Rose coming back from the same style of injury. So that is number one. The first thing that just breaks my heart to learn that Nichelle Prince may not be fit now for the Women's World Cup as a result, TBD, because those Achilles injuries are so unpredictable as far as coming back from them. My fingers are so crossed for her. I feel terrible for her. But otherwise, I think the first goal that Canada conceded, it was a little bit similar, not in the sense that it was a pass given away, but it was a play in transition. Canada player had the ball taken off of them, questionable level of physicality for sure, but nonetheless. And Brazil profited from that transition play really, really fast to completely catch Canada off their feet and punish for the first goal. Quinn very nearly slid in to make the sliding tackle, but unfortunately not enough. Canada got a good penalty. They had a few other good chances as well. They hit the crossbar. But then also Brazil hit the post. So, it's kind of like even, I guess, in that regard. But really unfortunate to see Canada lose this game in injury time off a set piece. Like, I was like, come on, Canada, we're better than that, because it's not really something that we're used to seeing Canada give up easily, is those goals off of set pieces for the women's national team. So I was disappointed to see that, and so late in the game as well. Sarayeka almost made the goal line clearance, but when the ball rebounded off of her, it did rebound to a Brazilian player who managed to put the ball into the net. But at all the same, and we talked a little bit about it a little bit with Rhian Wilkinson, it is kind of an expected series of results against Brazil, kind of an evenly matched two game round.
Yeah, there's two things that I have to say. First of all, unfortunately, we didn't have the VAR or the goal line technology to know if Evelyne Vian's shot was inside the goal or not. So that's the first
But
thing.
they didn't protest like super vociferously, the Canadians. So
because they're Canadians.
Oh, come on, honey.
They don't protest. We're too nice, man. We're too nice.
No, they protest.
Yeah, I bet. They're like, okay, sorry. And then they just...
Oh my God, don't stereotype.
I'm joking.
I'm like, no.
The other question that
competitors.
I have
I'm so sorry. There's a fruit fly in my camera, so if you see me waving, that's why.
The second question that I have for Eve. So Evelyne Vian played the whole half, right? Like,
no, she came in the 57th minute.
That's a joke, by the way. Like, I don't know if you remember the last part.
Yes, I believe you said she would come in for 15 minutes, and she came in for more than 30.
I said not more than 30. She came for 33. So. Yeah.
I
came for 45, so yeah.
yeah. No, but I was not surprised though. I think we discussed this last week. I was not surprised to see Jordan Huitema get the start this time around because I think the debate is still there between her and Evelyne Vian. For me, it's still Evelyne Vian. I think she just did more. Although Jordan Huitema, I thought was more involved in this match than the past few matches where we've seen her. I thought she did. Maybe she did drop a little bit deeper at times, but in doing so, she was able to relay the ball to a teammate. And she also, it was a really physical match. Yeah. It really was a lot more physical, I think, than the first match versus Brazil. I don't know if that was something that the coach of that team had told them, to kind of step it up a bit. But nonetheless, I thought it was a really physical match, and I thought Jordan Huitema did kind of get beat up a little bit out there.
We're used to it. We're used to
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Now, what's really interesting, though, we saw some very good link-ups between Vian and Huitema.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility that we see them together up front, and they look very interesting together. They complete themselves. So, what do you think about having a duo up front?
Honestly, that would imagine that with Kristen Sinclair right behind them, along with Jessie Fleming to distribute the ball. Oh my goodness! I mean, that's kind of a mouth-watering attacking quadrant.
Yeah.
No, I would absolutely be down for that. I hope Priestman's willing to try it at the mysterious February tournament.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know what tournament it is.
We just know it's a tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Because we asked her, and she's like, "I'm not allowed to say yet."
We do know it's not the Arnold Car Club. We do know that because they already announced who's participating.
Yeah, it's weird that they say that they cannot announce it yet.
Well, I guess the nation that's hosting it hasn't announced. Every other participant, right? So.
Maybe they didn't announce that they're hosting a tournament.
Plot twist. Imagine. That'd be awkward.
Interesting.
Okay, cool, guys. So I guess it's time for the interview.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
we're so spoiled. I'm so sorry. I haven't gotten to say it in a minute. Oh my God, we're so spoiled.
We are. We're very, very, very interesting interview. So let's go right to it. We are very lucky today to receive Rhian Wilkinson, head coach of the Portland Thorns. But we all know her also as a former player for the Canadian national team, a Hall of Famer of Soccer Canada, of course. And we're very, very, very happy to receive her as a guest. Hey, Rhian, thank you very much for taking the time today.
My pleasure. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you here. And first of all, congratulations on winning the NWSL trophy. How does it feel to win it in your first season as a head coach for the Portland Thorns? What an amazing achievement.
Yeah, I mean, you just go day by day, and I had a fantastic team and a great staff, and I didn't expect. I thought the first year there'd be a lot more like up and downs, but I thought we had too many ties. It was a challenging year, but straight away the team were fantastic. They really bought into what I was trying to do, and I got left a really good team as well. So it was fantastic to get that opportunity and to do so well my first year.
Yeah, I remember one time I had you for an interview for an article I was writing, and we talked about the beginning of your journey as a head coach. And you talked about that program, Elite Player, Elite Coach, that was introduced by John Herdman. Now that you're looking back on this, how grateful are you to have followed this program and agreed to follow this program? Because I know you weren't very convinced at first, right?
Yeah, well, Carmelita Moscato just won the Mexican League as well.
Mm-hmm.
She and I were the two initial technical coaches that John promoted or gave opportunity to. I think that I'm a testament to saying yes to opportunities. I did not necessarily want to be a coach, but it presented in front of me, and I had no real plans for post-playing career. And I'm really glad that I was brave enough to just take the leap, and obviously to have that opportunity created for me. I know how fortunate I was, and it's given me so much in this second career of mine. And it's just opportunities. And so one, it's creating them for people, and number two is having the bravery to say yes to maybe something you didn't plan on or the unexpected.
Yeah, bravery. You said that's the word. When I think about Rhian Wilkinson, bravery is one of the first words that I think of. Now, speaking of John Herdman, you talked about the opportunity that you were given. We're right now, one day before the World Cup. What can you say about him, about John Herdman as a coach and as a former coach, but also as a colleague now, because you're both head coaches?
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll ever be colleagues. He's such a mentor of mine, challenging man. Love that about him. And I think that that's something we forget about our mentors. Like, it doesn't mean it's an easy relationship. He challenges me, he asks me a lot of hard questions. I think a lot of people, when they think of John Herdman, they think of motivator. And he's a master motivator, but he is a tactician to the nth degree. The man knows the game. No one works harder than him. That's one thing we fight about. Like, I just think he works himself into the ground and he knows nothing different. You know, when you work for John Herdman, you never stop. And that's the balance. He calls it an obsession. And I love the game of soccer. I love it, but I have a lot more going on. And so it's this balance of like how much you want to give to something and how much you want to make sure you're a well-rounded person. And John is all in. And his wife is the hero of every story that John Herdman talks about, and his kids. He's a dedicated family man, but he will not leave a stone unturned. And I'm just so excited to see these men take off in this tournament, because John will have them motivated for sure, but people will be surprised how tactically connected this team is and how much I think they're going to shake up some of the big names in this tournament, because Canada will not be, I think they'll be not just underdogs. I just think they'll be underestimated by opposition. And I can't wait to watch that.
It's going to be
Join
nice.
the club. Yeah. Are you looking forward to watching the World Cup and tuning in tomorrow to see the men kind of make their big return?
Yeah. 2 days, right?
Yeah, tomorrow's the first day.
Tomorrow's when it kicks off.
Sunday.
But then
Oh, the
Canada,
tournament. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
The
I
overall
was worried
tournament,
about
yeah.
my schedule. I'm like, am I during?
No, 'cause then I was thinking, I was like, well, when does Canada play? But they play on Wednesday.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think, you know, a lot of people are just happy to have Canada at this tournament. And I understand that they have nothing to lose. And that's what I mean about John being a master motivator. Our men aren't going to be frightened because they have nothing to be frightened of. They have nothing to lose. They only have something to gain. And that is a very dangerous team to be playing. So, you know, Belgium are stacked, just so many household names. But they also don't train as a team. And John connects a team. So it'll be individual stars versus really a connected team unit. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Really looking forward to it. Really curious. Hoping for an upset just like you are.
Well, I hope, like, of course, an upset, but just keeping that game close and within touching distance, and I think will set the men up really nicely for a tournament where they can show what they can do. I mean, like, I'm not naive enough to think we're going to win it, but I do think we're going to rattle some cages.
Yeah, and that's a victory in and of itself, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, great starting point. But let's turn back to you, because of course you are the woman of the hour. So you mentioned, you know, that you inherited a really great team when you arrived at the Thorns, but there was a lot of turnover in the roster kind of in the off season prior to your arrival. There were a lot of big name departures like Lindsay Horan, Tyler Lucy, Simone Charlie. Obviously, Crystal Dunn went on maternity leave as well. So how did you overcome all that shakeup?
Yeah, of their 4 starting midfields from the year before, I lost 3 and Salem retired, and then we lost 4 players to the draft with 2 new teams coming in. So it was a tough start, but also when you lose players, it gives other players opportunity. And we had Sam Coffey come in, who just grabbed the game. Incredible performances by our players, and they were rotated more than they were expecting to. And that's hard. There's a lot of egos at the door kind of checks. And for me as well, just trying to build that trust and relationship with them. And it wasn't all smooth sailing, and it continues to be hard. The second year, like, expectations are higher. And, but that is what it's about. It's trying to balance all of it. And in the gaps that were left in the roster, opportunities arise. And that's what the team embraced. And I was very fortunate that they did. They took their opportunities, the players I gave field time to, and they flew with it.
That is a fact. They really did. No, like you said, Sam Coffey, I think is the best example that comes to mind for sure of somebody who sees your opportunity and really made a name for herself in the Thorns team.
But, you know, honestly, like, it was Sophia Smith's first full season. Morgan Weaver earned her starting position. Yeah. Yasmin Ryan. Those are just some, like, I had a Megan Nally who, when I had injuries in the back line, Becky had operation, and Emily Menges got hurt. We had Kelly Hubley, who had only limited minutes last year, became, I think they called them the Iron Women. She played every minute of every game at the back. Megan Nally jumped in. Yep. So there's stories everywhere. It was Bella Bixby's first full season as well. So even names that people just were expecting to see, these were not tested through a full season, and they really came out strong for me and for themselves.
Yeah, no, and that's excellent. You mentioned Sophia Smith. Obviously, she had a really great season in her first full season. She finished as the second highest goal scorer in NWSL. So how important was her performance for the team? And do you think that she still has room to grow and can reach new heights next season?
Yeah, she's nowhere near her ceiling. I hate the word potential. I find it really irritating because people in their careers saying, oh, they had so much potential. What I believe in is having a really high ceiling, as in you're just so many areas where you can continue to push and get better. And Sophia did that. She started as a good player and she continued to grow through the season. People didn't really know how to mark her at the beginning. She scored a ton of goals in the first part of the season, and then they started triple teaming her. She still got opportunities through that, but the spaces she opened for her teammates, it's not a coincidence how many players we have on multiple goals. We didn't only rely on her, although she was a huge part of our success, because of how much attention opposition had to give to how do you stop her? Because to stop her, it just takes numbers, and that creates spaces. And she really started to see what that could create for her, sort of like finding that outlet and then giving herself different angled runs, different opportunities, starting in different pockets. And she's just exploring that now. She's right at the beginning. And if I and my staff can keep her motivated and keep her pushing, she will be the best player in the world.
Yeah, you said that she opened spaces. I know Morgan Weaver had, I think, 7 goals for her first season too. So that's already amazing. 2 rookies, yeah. With Sophia and Morgan, getting that much goals. It's really amazing. But let's talk about the Canadian connection on the pitch. I'm sure you knew this question was coming, right? Yeah. Between Becky and Janine Becky, of course, and Christine St. Clair. Do you think they developed their partnership even more by playing together this year? Do you think some sort of, there was an extra connection that was created just winning that title and, all those games that they got under their belt this year?
I would say the connections definitely formed from Canada Soccer, their time there. Sinky got 5 goals, I believe, and Janine had an impact straight away. I'm aware that I'm hard on the Canadians. Like Janine came in like just an incredible player and person, and I made her earn every minute that she had on the field. And that's hard because, when you bring in internationals, sometimes they just get given minutes, but I know her. She was my teammate and I was her coach. And so I recognize that part. Like there's this thing about, when you know people on the team, like trying to be fair, and Sink is captain fantastic, just club captain, and also just plays her part so well. And that's hard for her. She's a player who always wants to be involved and is so invested in the club and her country, as is Janine. So it was balancing myself almost to make sure that I wasn't being unfair on them sometimes, because that's tough. It was a really hard role to play, to be their coach. And I knew that going in, it was going to be hard to be the coach of one of my closest friends. And it was harder than I could have imagined. And it was also as amazing as we could have imagined when we did that trophy at the end.
So you talked about the Canadian connection on the pitch. Let's talk about the Canadian connection off the pitch. So tell us more about your chemistry within the Thorn office with Karina LeBlanc. How important for the team has that relationship between you and her has been, do you think?
Karina's been fantastic. I mean, it's been so hard. I'm trying not to sugarcoat it. It sounds like, or it seems like such a wonderful thing. So my GM is my good friend, Canadian. There's me as the head coach. And then there's Christine St. Clair, who I played with for 16 years. And all of us have a lot to do with one another's jobs. So I would say the gift that it is that we trust one another completely, and we're able to have open, honest communication straight away. The setback is we're able to have open, honest conversations, which, most relationships you build on, you sort of like ease yourself in, like, how do I? So it was hard, and it continues to be hard. And it is the highs are so high because you're with people that you care for and you love and you've worked so many years with. And the lows are really hard because you're not just disappointing people, you're letting down your friends when things aren't always going that way. And I try and be really honest about it because I think it would be a lie otherwise. I knew that I'd be coming in to work for one of my good friends and to be the head coach for one of my good friends. And I talked in my interview about how easy it was going to be managed. No. And they like fair play to the two of them. It was hard on all three of us. It was a really hard year as well, personally off the field for the three of us. All of us had stuff going on. And I can't imagine having this success without the two of them. They helped me so much, but it was not an easy ride, and it won't be next year either. And we know it.
Well, I guess at least you've already kind of dove on in with the hard conversations. So hopefully it's less of an adjustment, if nothing.
They'll continue. That was never.
For sure. Speaking of another former teammate of yours, we have our friend of the pod, Amy Walsh, who is obviously local to Montreal, was recently nominated as the women's soccer collaborator for CF Montreal here. And we've talked lots of times about the importance of having a professional women's league here in Canada, and especially about, CF Montreal doing its part. Do you think that this is a step in the right direction, or could it be potentially just more smoke and mirrors?
It's all smoke and mirrors until anything happens. And
fair.
I think, first of all, Amy Walsh is incredible. We're so fortunate in Quebec to have such a well-spoken, intelligent former player who's invested in doing the hard yards behind the scenes. So I'm so proud of her, and I feel very, as a Quebecer, lucky to have her here doing that work. Another good friend of ours, Diana Matheson, is building her own league.
Yeah. And
she and I have gotten into some amazing debates about, MLS versus the CPL, what's the best for development. And she's very clear that it's having a single Canadian team. I do put pressure on our professional teams, though. The CF Montreal, the Toronto FC, Vancouver Whitecaps. Vancouver Whitecaps have had a women's academy for a long time. I'm not going to go easy on these teams. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's so ridiculous that in Canada, with the success that we've had on the women's side, and now that we're seeing on the men's side, that we're still that archaic. I mean, really hard for me to handle it. I travel the world. I go to some of the poorest countries in the world, and they have women's teams. They have women's leagues. And I just find it galling that we can't find the funds in some of these richest clubs to help support the game and at least have academies where our young players can play. I've talked about it before. If you go and are fortunate enough to go to university and you have an amazing career but aren't yet on the national team, you're done. There's nowhere else for you to go unless you have a European passport, and that is luck of the draw, because it is very expensive to go to Europe, and they usually don't take a risk on a player who isn't already playing for their country. So by 21, if you're Canadian and you're born female or considered female, you cannot continue your career. And that is something we do not talk enough about. And it is just a testament to Bev Priestman, to John Herdman, to the coaches that we have here at the development level, and how amazing they work, and the unthanked hours they put in to help develop players, because we are against the tide, and you are seeing other countries coming now, and we're going to be behind very quickly. We already are. We're swimming against the tide now.
No, I completely agree with you. Completely. And I know we've talked about it a lot on the show, especially usually every time that the women's team has a friendly, I'm like, and they have a league.
Almost every week.
Yeah.
The right people aren't, I hate it when they're like, oh, I hope they have a daughter one day and that they like the game, and they see it. Like, why does it take that? Like, do you have a mother? Do you have a sister? Do you have a friend who's female who likes sports? Like, it's just the fact that in Canada, we still have this issue. Like, you're like, this is still, it feels like it should be a century ago, and we're still there.
Yeah. It's so strange. Yeah. No, completely agree. At least I'm glad the conversations are happening, and obviously, we have to keep them coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Call me anytime. I have one or two opinions on
it. Excellent. So speaking of, I know we just talked about her a few minutes ago, but just to circle back quickly, obviously, Christine Sinclair mentioned that she is coming back next year. Not ready to retire yet.
No.
You know, she gave that kind of epic announcement when they lifted the trophy. So, you know, we talked a lot about your relationship with her for sure, and about the Canadian connection, but for the team as a whole, for the Thorns overall, how important is she on that team?
Well, first, Christine could literally, and I mean this, play into her 50s. Like, her time on the field will change, of course.
Of course.
But the way she reads the game and how she controls the ball, there's still not many players anywhere near her in that ability. She gives a stability to the club. She's the face of the club. She's doing a book signing today at Powell's, this big bookstore in Portland, and they sold out of the books. Like, just and it's not about the Thorns, it's about Canada soccer. So you like, this woman is a legend in Portland, and to have her on the team to provide that leadership, and she is competitive to the end. She wants every single minute on the field, and honestly, she would retire if she didn't feel like that anymore. She just is that competitive, and she's that determined to continue to get better too. And what a joy to have that kind of player on your team and setting the example. Imagine having a young player who refuses to do extras. And you're like, well, right next to you is one of the best to ever play the game, who never skips any of the extras. She just doesn't, whether it's preparation, whether it's recovery, or whether it's what she's doing at training. I have the living example of best practice right next to them. And I think it sets standards, and it continues to hold every player accountable if they want to continue to drive their career forward.
Talking about legends, we talked about a lot of legends today, and you know, you are one of them. Of course, you were introduced here in the Hall of Fame of Canada Soccer. How was that feeling? Like, you know, it's I think an incredible honor. So can you describe a bit the feeling?
No, I think it's hilarious, and in the most lovely way. Legend. You know, I lost my father in February, and so it was a little bit bittersweet, but also lovely. Like, it really, my playing career ended in 2017. Very few players get to choose when they retire. I was not injured. I got to walk away from the game after winning the bronze in Rio, and in front of a home crowd at BC Place. And then I got to experience that with my whole family in 2017. They got to see this full career, and then they got to see me starting my career and things happening. And then obviously I was in England last year, and then I got this Thorns opportunity, and my dad saw all that. So it was just one of these moments again in front of I've been living in BC before going to England, and it was nice. It was just a really incredible evening, but I don't think I'll fully take it in for a while, because the mantle of legend seems a little bit heavy, but it's nice to be recognized alongside some of my teammates for sure.
And it's definitely well deserved. But looking ahead, there is a Women's World Cup on the horizon. Obviously, Canada will be traveling to Australia and New Zealand next year. Based on what you've seen from your former teammates in their recent friendlies, whether it was versus Brazil or whether it was the earlier friendlies that they've played against the other nations as well, how optimistic are you for Canada's chances at this upcoming Women's World Cup?
I mean, that's really tough. Like, if you looked at their gold medal run in Tokyo, wow. I mean, just PKs, just hanging in there, goals on transition. And that's a testament to Bev, to her staff, and that team. They just don't let any cracks show. And I think Sinky has a line in her book, like, this team was built for a pandemic Olympics, right? Like, they really enjoy spending time with one another. But I'm very, very serious about how far behind I think Canada's falling. And majority of the Canadian players are playing in fantastic leagues and getting good opportunities and experience. But because of that, they're all separated, because we don't have a home league. And in that way, I think that's going to be, it's harder. Our camps, the women's camps, are getting shorter and shorter, less time together. So that connectivity is starting to fray, and not because they don't like each other anymore.
No,
because new faces are coming in who haven't spent that time together. And the older ones who are doing a great job are just starting to like be closer to their retirement time, whenever they choose that to be. So it's going to be a real challenge, I think, to get everyone on the same page in enough time to really do something in that World Cup. I hope very much I'm wrong. I think there's so much exciting talent, but it does concern me that they just don't have much time together.
Yeah, they will be playing, I know, a tournament in February. So hopefully that'll give them a little bit of time, more time than a traditional camp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just historically we've had to do almost like we've all moved to Vancouver for a month together and like train together. That just doesn't happen when we're all in separate. They're all in separate.
Right? No, of course. No.
So that kind of camps, like they were just in Australia. In Brazil, they had a win and a loss, both tight games. That's the type of result we've always had against Brazil. So that's sort of a good gauge. But yeah, you just don't know with this group, because if they are flying and they find that X factor, they really are unstoppable, which we saw in their gold medal run. But it is very hard to maintain that. So fingers crossed. Those players deserve it. I'm a huge fan of all of theirs and of Bev and her staff. But yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill battle that World Cup.
No, I appreciate your kind of honesty on that one for sure. Really good. We do have a few reader questions that came, or listener questions rather. It came in the written format, which is why I called them reader questions. But they're in fact our listeners. So we do have a few questions sent in by our listeners. Just to kind of wrap things up, Hattie, I did divide them. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, okay. I saw them.
Okay,
thanks.
Cool. All right. So we do have a question from Mathieu, who wanted to know what's it like to manage a national team compared to a club team?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is sustainability. So with camps, you have these down periods where you're monitoring players, but you've got time to prep things. You do a lot of individual work for the players. Whereas in a season, what can you maintain? What can you sustain? And what is most needed? And that for me was tough, because what I'm used to delivering on the national teams, sort of these player profiles, the individual development plans and how you follow them and maintain it. It's not realistic to do when you've got 3 games in 7 days. Like, how do you keep them driving, but still making sure that they're resting, recovering? They got a game coming up the next day. How much reviewed time do you have? So for me, that's the biggest difference, is how what you can deliver, being really realistic about it, and what can you sustain quality on? Because I think I tried too many things my first year, and then the quality of what I was delivering really went down. Just didn't have enough hours in the day. So huge learnings about that and what I can do and what I can ask my staff to do as well. Because it's just not, it can't be something that I start really well on and then just trickles off by the end of the year, which ended up happening. So many games at the end. But it was something I knew I could deliver on the national stage. So I just didn't, that was a big difference for club versus country preparation.
Right now, we have another listener. It's not really a question. It's mostly, I think some very good words, and it's from a friend of the pod. And I think that I don't know if you remember him. It's George Sanchez. That says, a great guest. I'm very impressed for everything she has accomplished as a player and coach. Having seen her play since she was 14 and briefly coached her, her commitment and work ethic are outstanding. So we just wanted to relay the message from George that really every time we talk to him, he always praises you. Every time he has a chance, he does that, and a very nice guy too. So
yeah, his wife Lorraine and him, we are both my coaches, and this is what I mean about the unsung heroes of our storied athletes, the ones who get to the national stage. These incredible coaches that I had growing up, that we have here, that are essentially volunteers, and the hours they give and how much they care and stay connected. I get a lot of messages from George, and I like seeing Lorraine when I'm here, and both of them played a huge part in my development.
That's lovely. So we have just a couple of questions here from wsoccer.ca, another listener. So first question is, what was it like transitioning from player to coach?
It was tough. It was really tough. I went straight into this EPEC program, the Elite Player, Elite Coach. And so I was working with the youth teams, but I was also working with the senior team still, which I just retired from. And I was jumping into training, which is normal when you've just retired, but there weren't very many fullbacks yet. So I still felt like I was right there. So that was challenging. I think it was hard for John too, because the transition is always hard when a senior player is retiring, and then who's next. Yeah. And it was really, really hard, and there was no separation. I don't know if that would have been better though. I don't know. It's because my experience, there was no separation. I went straight into coaching the team I had retired from. But I mean, John worked me really hard and kept me really busy. So there wasn't much time to regret the decision. And I'm so glad how it worked out now. Because I do think there was a moment there I was like, should I come back for one more year? And then no. This is too good a way to walk away from the game. So I'm really glad I never backed off from that decision.
Right on. The second coach from W Soccer is just, given the controversy around Portland's front office, how did you keep your players focused on soccer?
We're soccer players. And there's a lot going on in the women's soccer professional world. The NWSL has a lot happening and it won't be done for a while. But I'm Canadian. It's here. In England, it's there. It's not just in women's sports and it's not just at the professional level. And it's a huge problem that I think a lot of people need to be looking at and addressing and coming up with policies to protect our most vulnerable. But what we talked about is keeping it us and our bubble and focusing on the soccer. And some players choose to speak. And it has to be a choice. There cannot be an expectation. And there was for a while that the players had to speak for domestic abuse, for power imbalance, for, and it's still a problem. Like the level of trauma that the players and the coaches that lived through 2 years of this have had to take on, it's still there. And it comes up really unexpectedly. And you have to recognize that I had the privilege of walking into a really hard year, but I didn't have the year before it to add to. So it's been really tough, but we did just talk about soccer and just keep it here. Let's make sure we enjoy it, make it fun, and make sure this is an environment where if you do have some trauma or some history in this area, that we made a lot of professionals available to them, because that is not my expertise and I cannot speak to it.
No, of course. And W Soccer did note that you did an outstanding job shielding your players during the really difficult time. So obviously, I think kudos to you.
Yeah, winning the title, what more can that's a testament of how great of a job you did. And lastly, from Rhonda Brownlee, she asks, other than the Thorns, if you could coach any team in the world, club or country, who would it be and why?
I mean, my ultimate ambition is to coach Canada one day. I'm a very proud Canadian. I love coaching the Portland Thorns. I love coaching in the US, but I also wanted to stay in Canada. I don't lie about that. It's selfishly when I talk about not having a professional league, that involves me as well, right? I mean, Carmen, Mexico, me in Portland, and a lot of other, I think we've got Quebecer in France as well. And Silva, Jess.
Yeah.
So
Silva. Yeah.
It's not that we don't have coaches or players. It's just we all have to go abroad. And so my ambition, and everyone knows that I don't hide, is one day I hope I can coach the national team. But I do think Canada soccer has a lot of work to do before that time.
I agree.
Obviously, let's hope that Canada will succeed in whatever they're trying to achieve right now, for sure. But one day we really hope that you'll be the head coach of the women's team in Canada, maybe the men's team. You never know.
Maybe. I just say that Bev Priestman's done a phenomenal job, and I've worked with her for years and just love watching what she's doing with the resources she has. I think she's just been incredible. So it's just to be clear, it's not about that. It's hopefully one day in the future, when she decides to retire, or when the next person decides to retire, that's something that hopefully I get an opportunity to do.
We hope it happens one day. Rhian, thank you very, very much for taking the time today. I think the interview was amazing. Any last words that you want to share with our listeners, with us?
No, big thank you for me for the support. I do think that it's critical that we continue to keep the conversation in the forefront. So for those of you that, again, work behind the scenes and maybe don't get the kudos you deserve, a big thank you from me.
Thank you very much. And see you next time, and hopefully on The Ball is Round.
Thank you.
Yeah, what an amazing interview. I think we were very, very lucky to have Rhian with us
Yeah.
I know I said it like 3 times, I think, during the pod. I'm a bit of a fan. I think everybody knows that. I'm very, very big fan of her work.
Yeah.
And she's really amazing.
I loved I felt like she spoke so honestly, and I really loved that. Like, it didn't feel like it was just sort of like a PC, line that she was giving. I felt like she was giving her honest to goodness opinion on everything. And really no holds barred. I so appreciated her freshness in her interview. I really, really, really enjoyed speaking with her.
Yeah, and everything she says, it's kind of thought of. You learn a lot, and like you say, it's not the old cassette that some people in interview just rumble on. She really gave interesting answers, and she speaks with a purpose, which makes for a very good interview. And you guys did well too. You made it interesting, but I mean, she's.
I think she took care of that on her own.
She's definitely someone to bring back on the pod.
Absolutely,
for sure.
She has a standing invite anytime she wants.
Well, good. I hope she accepts it though. Guys, I think we're ready. We just have social media and the draw of Montreal Metro's jersey, which will be at the very end of the show. So, off to social media.
Yeah, so let's start social media, guys, with the first tweet. It's from Disgruntled Supporters section, so at CanPL_DSS. Some strange decisions from an asset management point of view for CF Montreal. As most others have said, Yao and Pantemis are the big surprises. Too bad there's not a Quebec CanPL team for some of these guys to land at. Any thoughts, guys?
I mean, I think this tweet from November 15th, obviously Olivier Renard has come out and given some clarification since on the Yao move. So I think it's a little bit less mystifying. Maybe the Pantemis move is still got some shoulder shrugging.
My question was more on the CanPL.
Oh, sorry.
For the other players that were dropped, not Pantemis and Yao.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I think it would be amazing to have a CanPL team here, and they've done surveys, and there's always been in talk, but there just doesn't really seem to be any money following the talk, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we talked about it, Sam, with I forgot his first name, but Marchand. What's his first name? What was his first name with the local soccer show with our friends from Milan?
Mathieu Chamberlain.
Mathieu Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Yeah, but Mathieu Chamberlain. And it seems like things are moving in the right direction in Quebec. So
yeah, for sure. They kind of have a date. I think they were talking 2024, starting to I don't think they'll be playing in 2024, but maybe having something on the cards and announcing around those dates. But what I want to go back to the tweet is that. It's true what he says, 100%, but I don't think it applies to Yao and Pantemis because Yao showed what he had to do and now he's just waiting for a better opportunity, which couldn't come in Montreal. He's gonna fight for his place in Vancouver, which he might very well get a chance over there, even though Michael McCall, our friend in Vancouver, is not too optimistic. And Pantemis has played number 1 goalie in Montreal for. On and off for 2 years, so he's looking for another. But for other players, for sure, for sure, it's the same thing. That it's the same conversation than the leagues, the women's league, and there's a lot of things that should have been done a long time ago that we're still waiting for. So and a CanPL team in Quebec is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will happen very soon. Next tweet is from Bob Burnham. All matches involving Canadian teams will be available in French. This is what I will happily pay for. So just the announcement of the season pass with Apple next year. So there will be commentary in French. It is confirmed. It is advertised. Your thoughts on that? Do you think that was important for the Quebec
Absolutely.
market?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, because it's for sure, 100%, and even just that they have to announce it is a bit is a bit, it's a bit
Yeah,
weird
it
because I
seems
would
a
have
bit unnecessary almost.
yeah, because that's exactly what we would have expected. So
And it's
yeah,
not
for
just
sure.
Quebec. I mean, there are people who speak French
Yeah,
from coast to coast.
Yep.
true,
Yeah.
true,
So
100%.
and no, it's great. It's great, and I mean, Montreal has a big part to play in MLS, whether whether Don Garber likes it or no. So there's a lot of fans coming from here and
Mhm.
around. So yeah, no, 100%.
Nice, nice, nice. The next tweet is from Ron Coombs. Prediction: He will shine at the World Cup and seal the deal. Will certainly be missed by CF Montreal. He was answering a tweet, retweeting a tweet from MLS Network saying that Alistair Johnston would sign with Bologna in January. What do you guys think about that?
I think we all had Alistair Johnson obviously pegged to be a potential departure, behind Ishmael Kone in the coming months for sure. Knowing how the last time Montreal transferred a player to Bologna with Louis Binks, knowing how that went down, and Montreal never really saw anything back from it. Unfortunately, I'm going to regard it with a little bit of a side eye until I actually see, Montreal getting some money immediately from the transfer, as you would when you transfer a player to any other team and not just these weird promises of future investments. So, I mean, for Alistair Johnson, I would be very happy for him as a player. For CF Montreal, I would be skeptical.
Yeah, but we did get, Ty there. We got, Corbo on loan.
Jemaili,
We got Jemaili. We got
Okong.
and don't forget
Got
all the
Sebastian
coaches.
Breza.
Yeah.
Don't forget all the coaches that came also, like recently, all the assistant coaches that came too. So I just want to. I'm not saying that it's enough. I'm just saying that we are getting things from Bologna too. Like, let's not forget that. So is it balanced?
No.
I don't think so. I completely agree that it's not balanced. But
okay, thank you. I was like, Hattie, I was gonna give you some serious look here.
I have to be the devil advocate. You know me.
Fair enough.
So, next tweet is from Lizzie. I watched Alphonso Davies' interview this morning at TSN, and he was very clear that he will be ready for Canada soccer game. I love watching him play, but he's also so refreshing to watch during his interview. Guys, Alphonso Davies' interviews, it's always entertaining, right?
Oh yeah, no, he's got a big personality. Just a side note, I love Lizzie. She's so kind. Really, really kind in the times I've met her. Really appreciate her as a person. But yes, Alphonso Davies. I don't know if you guys saw the segment where the players they did like a called out segment where it was like, oh, the one who celebrates their goals the most in training, and they had to stick a. Did you guys see that segment that they did for each other?
No,
well, I saw it.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I can send it to you, Hattie, if you want, because it was really funny. I'll send it to you.
Interesting. So let's move on with the next tweet. It's from Ansty, so Julia Rolfe 14. Also, credit to Junior Hoilett, was the Canadian national team player of the game. In 90 minutes, he had 67 touches, 26 out of 33 passing, 79%. 4 key passes, 3 out of 5. It's just unbelievable what a great game Junior Hoilett got against Japan. I think we didn't talk enough about how important he's going to be for the team.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think sometimes when we try to predict the lineups, I don't see Hoilett a lot in people's lineups, but Hoilett has a lot of experience and he still has some pace to his game, so that's an interesting combination. And we talked with Eric about it. If Canada are deciding to drop a bit deeper and try to hit Belgium on the break with these older defenders, Hoilett can definitely be a danger man out there. So I like to see him start, really, but now the question is who you take out, because
I know it's so tricky.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to see how John Herdman set up his team, and I'm pretty sure every game is gonna be a different setup, different looks, different players. It's gonna be game by game. He's gonna pick, but Hoilett will have a big role to play for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think he was very interesting against Japan. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
maybe
he really was.
Yeah, maybe that will give him the nod on Wednesday. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully.
And last but not least, it's from Ben Steiner. Ben Steiner 0-0. Michelle Prince announces that she has a ruptured Achilles tendon that she suffered against Brazil with the Canadian women's national team. Both her and Deanne Rose now rehabbing Achilles injuries for the next while. He's hoping both have a swift recovery in time for the World Cup. Eve, you talked about this. It's funny that it happens to two players that are very similar, have the same kind of profile, and it's going to be tough for the women's team. Hopefully they'll be back for the World Cup.
It's really unfortunate. Yeah, I feel terrible for both of them.
And it's long recoveries, these injuries. So that's
and you never know, when you come back, if you're going to be 100% or not.
Well, that part of your body is so solicited when you play football, right? So you never know. You really need to be at 100% when you come back, because if you come back at 50-60%, the chances of re-injuring yourself are so high.
Sure.
So you have to be really careful with these injuries.
Yeah, that's it for social media. So thanks for all the tweets. Always very interesting.
Yeah, good tweets again, as usual. Guys, we'll finish the show with the draw for the jersey that is given by our friends at Montreal Metros. You were a lot of people to join in.
Yes, my goodness.
Oh, yes. And we are gonna...
Oh, let's get Sam's screen up on the screen. I don't know how to say it.
There you go. Okay, so everyone's here, and the winner we'll put you in contact with Montreal Metros, because the jersey is not already ready. That's what they said. They need to get your size. They'll prepare with their shipment company, whatever, and they'll send it to you guys. So it will take a few weeks, but it's definitely a beautiful jersey. So that being said, good luck to everyone, and the winner is Roger Dieterle TV. Oh boy, okay, ROGERDIETERLE TV. You are the winner for this draw. So congratulations to you, and we'll be sending you a DM in no long, and we'll put you in contact with Montreal Metros guys. So congratulations, man.
Yeah, congrats.
I'm jealous.
I wanted to enter the draw, man.
You did. You did. I put your name.
I did. Okay, thanks.
Hi.
Okay, thanks.
I didn't enter. I thought I wasn't allowed to. So
I wasn't
didn't
gonna
enter.
win.
I wanted to enter.
I wasn't gonna win, so.
So there you go. Congrats, nice. Man. So that's it for us, guys.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot, people. It was really nice for listening to us, and thanks to Sam and Eve for being here. It's always a pleasure talking with you guys.
For sure, and thank you to everyone who was on with us tonight and who's gonna listen during the week. And we'll catch you next week, as usual, Sunday 6:30 for another episode of The Ball Is Round. Take care.